We're going to come after you.
What is it like acting with no nose? I gotta tell you, it looks like it hurt.
Luckily, they didn't cut my nose off before we started. It was fine for me because I had a nose while we were filming it, and the prosthetic pieces came to a point where they created this triangle, right? And then they put these white dots over my nose so that they could take it out in post. But I often think about the other people that I'm working with who see the Ghoul, this very intimidating guy, but also see a pretty great nose. I mean, there's not much I like about myself, but I do like my nose. A pretty great nose with white dots on it. I think that's a question for somebody else, really. You know, how did it impact them? I certainly didn't notice a difference. I think you just get used to it.
The makeup process, because it does seem to go down your neck, was it more extensive than when you were Sons of Anarchy's Venus?
Yes, it was much more uncomfortable. You know, I mean, Venus took about 4 hours to do, every morning. We got this down to it started at 5 hours and we got it down to 1 hour and 45 minutes, I think was our best time.
Ain't much stage cleanup here, Volty.
You've got an absolutely epic brawl in one of the early episodes involving practical and visual effects. What previous roles possibly prepared you for that scene?
I mean, I've been around for a long time, right? And I've it is an epic. I mean, it's on the scale of like Raiders of the Lost Ark or something. But I don't think about it in those terms, right? I think about it as the baddest dude in the room who is going to take that guy no matter what. And he'll take on an entire town to do it. It's not a problem. But, going back to The Shield or Justified, or I've had a lot of shootouts in my life, and The Hateful Eight and Django and a number of Westerns. So I guess that played a part of it. It was so well written. Jonah is such a fast shooter that we were just going through things and then coming up with stuff as we went along. He's a very good collaborator. And then I said, well, what if he said, we'll go over and get some fruit. And then I said, oh, okay, well then I'm gonna get some fruit, and then I'm gonna walk over here, and then I just started, improvising and talking to people. And then I said, I want these caps. I want some caps so that I can pay for this food, because morally, the Ghoul doesn't steal, So I'm gonna pay for the that I take.
Knight Titus of the Brotherhood of Steel, stand down or be cut down.
You gotta be f***ing kidding me.
We watch these promos, we watch these trailers, and we're like, oh, there's Walton Goggins playing the Ghoul. But without spoiling anything, you actually get to do a lot more acting beyond that.
Hello there. I'm here to show you a wonderful place.
I get to play a guy named Cooper Howard, which is the same person as the Ghoul, just 200 years earlier before the bombs were dropped. And he is the bridge between this post-apocalyptic world and the world that existed before nuclear war. And it's populated with people in his life, characters in his life, and it's such an interesting world. Really, I can't really go into it much more than that and tell you anything, but as it reveals itself over time, it will all make sense. It really will. And I enjoyed being Cooper Howard in that world as much as I enjoyed being the Ghoul in this world.
Well, now that is a very small drop in a very, very large bucket of drugs.
What can you say about how the Ghoul regards Lucy, this do-right vault dweller, when they cross paths?
The comedy in this thing is so subversive, and it's no different than a person living their life in a bubble in some urban city, right? When they meet someone on the street and that looks at them and says, what have you been doing? Why are you this naive? This isn't how the world is. She's a sheltered, moral person because she had access to security and safety and resources in a vault setting, third or fourth generation, fifth generation, living underground in these secure environments. And the rest of us were left to die on the surface. When he sees her naivete, he understands that that's a naivete of convenience, and I'm gonna mess with her. I just wanna poke her and have, you know, mess with her a little bit.
I know everybody's probably been asking you, have you ever played the Fallout video games? But here's what I want to know. What video game did young Walton crush when he was a kid?
Galaga. End of story. Galaga was my game. I still
That was your jam?
see the moves in my head, and I still play it wherever I am. And there's one in a random bowling alley, or you know, they have them in these old school games in airports at different places around the world. I love it. I absolutely love that game so much. But I played Atari. I played Pitfall. I mean, I started with Pong, man. You know, I was born in 1971, so Brick Buster or whatever that is, Asteroids. I played all of them. Centipede. I say thousands of dollars, and it was only a quarter a game. But I spent most of my youth going to movies and then staying in the arcade. The 80s were amazing, dude. The 70s and 80s were amazing. They were the best, man.
They were the best.
They were the best, man.
They were the best.
Yeah.